you could you derive from two components. Per or par, son. Per or par is the Comitian term which means place or temple or house.
All right.
As in the original name of Paris, Par Isidus, which became Paris. Par Isidus, place of the goddess Aset, who was misnomed Isis.
That's right.
Son from the Roman Sol. Sol is the Roman reworking of Ra. It's what the Roman call Ra, the sun. So per son is the temple or the place of God.
That's right.
You know your body is the temple of God, don't you, brothers and sisters? The temple of the Son God. Personality is the active manifestation of the Spirit of God in your temple, your human temple. Remember this, brothers and sisters. And so we have ceremonies and rituals at key stages of our life. After going through certain processes of human cultivation, this was ceremonialized. You, in African tradition, you could never call yourself a man or a woman unless you were initiated into manhood and womanhood. Are you with me, brothers and sisters? And you could not be married until you were initiated. You have to qualify for adulthood. You have to qualify for marriage through a system of training and a system of challenges and tests and examinations that were put before you. You move from there into eldership, and as an elder, you became one of the council of elders who represented the supreme authority within the community. In that cycle, what is being nurtured systematically is our three-dimensional being. Within the concept of the three-dimensional nature of human creation, mind, body, and soul. We have the mind, we have the body, which is nurtured by the foods of the earth, the vegetation of the earth. We have the body that is nurtured through exercise, medicine, rest, proportionately applied. The mind is nourished by knowledge that is fed to the mind. The mind is nourished through psychosensory dynamics. What do I mean? Psycho to do with the mind, sensory to do with the five senses, dynamics to do with effect, meaning what information we receive through our five senses, how that molds the mind. Information from the Latin informare, in, which means within, formare, which means to shape or mold or fashion. Every time you open your eyes, open your ears, smell, taste, feel something, your mind is being molded and shaped and fashioned.
That's right.
This is why you have to be mindful of the kind of environment you are in. That is the food of the mind.
That's right.
When you go into anybody else's environment, your whole world is saturated with images of their own culture.
Right.
Yet so many of us are running away from the images of our own culture.
Right.
And then you have the soul. The food of the soul are our prayers, our rituals, spiritual vibrations that come from the chants that we do.
Yes.
The chants, the songs, the vibrations that we share with each other in worship, in worshiping our Creator. In as much as you can contaminate your physical being with junk, you can contaminate your mental and spiritual being with junk.
That's right.
Junk images,
That's right.
junk words, junk books, junk knowledge, junk religion, junk prayer, junk holy books, junk. So we have to take charge
Right.
of what substances are being fed to us.
Right.
Mind, body, and soul. It is not enough to have a good physical diet. You must have the right mental and spiritual diet. All of it affects our behavior.
Right.
In closing, brothers and sisters, what are we going to do with all this? And this is just a tiny proportion of the whole truth. The whole concept of African spirituality cannot be taught in one afternoon. Essentially, brothers and sisters, African spirituality in essence is a way of life. It is something not just to be talked about, it is something to be lived.
Right.
Something to be experienced.
Right.
If you think it's wonderful to hear it, try living it.
Yes, sir. Good start.
Try being it. And this is where many of us fall down. This is where many of us begin to fret. Because we don't want to change. We will go into the Christian church and we will change.
Yeah.
We will go into the Muslim mosque and we will change.
Yeah.
But when it comes to our African traditions, we don't want to change.
No.
Because it throws up some serious challenges for us. I'm here to tell us, brothers and sisters, we will never be free.
Right.
We will never be free until we free up
Yes.
our African traditions
Yes.
and give them living status again.
That's right.
Not just suspend it into some dim mist
Come on.
in the air for us to behold in awe and wonder, but bring it into reality.
That's right.
Make it determine how we get up in the morning, what we say to each other in the morning, how we walk out of our homes, how we walk into our homes, how we speak to our children, raise our children, educate our children, how we speak to each other's wives and husbands, how we look for our wives and our husbands.
Yeah.
African spirituality determines all this.
Right.
How we treat our elders, the respect that we show them. When we come into a room, how we treat our elders.
That's right.
How we respond when we go in a room and we see a shrine, which represents our ancestry,
right.
which represents the foundation of our culture, our history,
Yes.
our liberty. We need to learn all these things again.
Yes, sir.
Brothers and sisters, many have died.
Yeah.
Many have died to bring this day, to deliver this day unto us.
Right.
You hear about Nat Turner, Denmark Vesey. You hear about Bookman. You hear about Mackendal. You hear about Dessalines. You hear that many of them were Christians. What you didn't hear is that many of them behind the scenes were practicing African spirituality.
Right. That's right.
But they could not do that in the open because of the hostility of the oppressor. You vulgarize yourself when you continue to pray according to how your oppressor said you must pray. No matter what you're going to say,
Right. That's right.
we are Christians because we were enslaved. We are Muslims because we were enslaved. Whatever you're going to say. So brothers and sisters, we want to see changes now. Changes in the response that we get from our brothers and sisters from the community.
Yeah.
We want to see brothers and sisters coming forward now and say we want to get on the road to revolutionize African spiritual and cultural practice and behavior. Let us come together, brothers and sisters, under one African divine rule,
That's right.
in the name and the nature of one African God in his and her many manifestations. Let us pour libation unto our ancestors,
Yes.
the ancestors who are the medium between us on earth and the Supreme Creator.
Right.
Understand libation. It's not just some spooky wooky hocus pocus. Libation is real. Spirit never dies.
That's right.
The spirit is the property of the Creator.
Yes.
The body dies. The body dies, but not the spirit. The body is finite. The soul is infinite.
That's right. That's right.
Inasmuch as Mari Yakutika chose it to be so that we came into the world through the lineage of our ancestors. It is the will of Mari that we go unto Mari through the lineage of our ancestors.
Right. That's right.
Are you with me, brothers and
Yes,
sisters?
brother.
Who taught you about God? Your ancestors. Your mother, your father, your aunts and your uncles. Who taught them? Their mothers and fathers, aunts and uncles. Who taught them? Their mothers and fathers and aunts and uncles. Those spirits still live on. It never dies. If the spirit dies, then God, who is also a spirit, is dead. Are you with me, brothers and sisters? Don't be ashamed to pour libation. And here's where Christianity and Islam fall down again. You go in the Christian church or the Muslim mosque and pour libation and see the response. Yet I can show you, and one day we'll probably do a message on it. Ancestor worship in the Bible. Because it's full up in the Bible. Are you with me, brothers and sisters?
Yeah.
So that's our message for you this afternoon. Christianity, Islam, or African spirituality, which will set us free. We are indeed an African people.
Yes.
We were created an African people. Our bodies are African. Our minds are African. Our souls are African. Our intellect is African. Our culture is African. Our God is African. Rise, you mighty African people. You can accomplish whatever you will. Send I
Tendai Mwari. Tendai Mwari. Tendai Mwari. Now, brothers and sisters, we're going to go into questions. Anybody got any questions? Anybody just want to give thanks for the power of the word?
If we are created, do we then become the supreme creator? Or do we become subjects which prolong that creativity? And the second is also the idea or the concept of evil. I would like to hear a little bit more how we handle the evil, as we've seen so many things around in our culture. I'll stop there just for your comment, please.
Tendai Mwari. Come here, brother leader, again as we move forward, please.
Tendai Mwari. Tendai Mwari. Tendai Mwari. Okay, do we have the power to renew creation, or are we just subjects of creation? Tendai Mwari. We, from the teachings of our ancestors, would submit that both aspects of that question are correct. We are subjects of the creation in that we were created by the divine law of the Creator, under the divine laws of the Creator. But within that law, we are embedded with the capacity to create ourselves or to enhance the qualities of what the Creator has embedded in us. We have the capacity to enhance that, to develop that, through human cultivation. We have that capacity. When we talk about